And we're live. Hello everyone, this is the Ninja GC joining again for another React video, this time for MLP Season 7, Episode 16. At least, I think it's 16. Hope this is the right video.
It's actually episode 15.
Dun dun dun.
No,
It really is episode 16.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Triple Threat was a thing.
Dun 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 dun. Alright. Joining again, actually, Alex is first. Joining again is Alex. Or a herd of bronies.
Yeah. Hello, you ponies. I'm a herd of bronies. Welcome to Let's Watch Sleepless in Ponyville Part 2.
Alright. Next up, Unova.
Welcome to the midnight variant of 8-Bit Reactions. My name is Unova Bruni, and I'm going to be your ASDM speaker for the moment. We're going to have some smooth talking to us. We're going to try to get you in that mood. You will hopefully be able to feel quite differently if you're an audiophile, and if not, this feels completely strange, the fact that I'm speaking in such a low register at the moment.
And then finally, second.
Alright, well, as you can see, Unova switched to decaf, and I, on the other hand, am drinking coffee just to stay up this late. So then, from a critic first and a fan second, here is Sleepless in Ponyville 2, Awake by Dawn.
Yay.
Yes.
Alright. But everyone ready?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Tanks are looking good, and they make good time.
Wow, Rarity actually has a normal 10.
Wow, I can't believe she actually downgraded.
That's learned the art of restraint.
Then it wouldn't be annual.
Nah, she just borrowed it from a Time Lord. It's bigger on the inside.
But the more we do it, the better.
How hilarious that actually is true.
Remember the first time we came here and Rarity had that
That would be
ginormous
Pinkie Pie.
tank? I've gotten much better at
Speak of the devil.
it, haven't I?
Oh my gosh, it's exactly what
This time you only have 3 suitcases.
Yay!
I know what
Oh,
you did,
restraint.
but I promise I only brought the essentials. Like those light thingies?
Ah, it's
Oh!
illumination.
Like if you can't make it beautiful.
To be honest, it actually does look nice.
Yeah.
These berries look good enough to eat.
Rainbow!
Not in poison logic.
According to my book, they're extremely poisonous.
Oh my god, they're going DuckTales here! Dude, what's chaos good?
It's the cave again.
I heard something. I stepped on something, and I saw that creepy.
And I
thing.
remembered that was
I
sort
guess
of a
I still
trait of
got a
mine
little
in
bit scared
Sleepless
out
in
here, even
Ponyville,
after the last camping
just with
trip.
more justification
Don't
there.
worry, kid. You've got a big sister this time.
Wait, quick, nudge.
It really is Sleepless in Ponyville
Looks
Part 2.
amazing.
They're not even hiding
Best
it.
Big sister
Yeah.
slash little sister.
Well, I mean, maybe they're,
ever.
yeah, trying to keep the thing going there.
Oh!
Ew.
What the hell? Oh god!
What are spider flies?
Spiders.
Why would
Yeah.
it run such a thing?
Now that is true to the camping experience.
Wait a minute. Unless they're also part mosquito, but then that would make complete sense.
Oh god, stop making them worse!
Oh, God.
Yeah, one point I will give to this season is that it knows how to make callbacks that actually feel like we're getting somewhere, that we're building on what's been done. Exactly, yeah. Like when this season does world building, it's not just, hey, look at this place you haven't seen before. That's cool,
Oh
right?
my god!
They really are part mosquito. Oh my god.
What the hell?
Apple Bloom trying to spot them with their tail.
My god, what abominations they are!
Okay, now, yeah, Rainbow, use your tornado.
Skidaloo.
Where did those terrible bugs come from? And why did they destroy our camp?
Gliders are from the Luna Bay area.
Gliders.
Far east, though. Probably attracted to the food. Best wait here until they're gone.
Oh, Apple Rock. What are we supposed to do now? We got games to play and marshmallows to roast at camp. And here we got nothing.
Appleton, watch your language.
This is
There
why
are
you should
kids
do
around.
Fluttershy on the camping trips.
That's right. If you want to, maybe we could tell some stories to pass the time.
You want stories?
So
I've
this
got a
one time
ton of
at
stories.
band camp,
Spoiler alert, they're all about me and how awesome I am.
I was thinking more like
Egotist
campfire
route.
stories.
But we
so
don't
this
even
one
have
time,
a
this one time
campfire.
at scout
I got
camp,
this.
Wow, that was great.
How do you...
Ah!
We don't have to tell scary stories like our last camping
Seriously,
trip, are we?
can't she just do her tornado
fun
thing
enough
like
just
she did with
being
the
in
pepper
here.
sprites?
Don't worry, Sulu. I was going to tell you mine and Apple Bloom's favorite legend.
Alright.
Oh, you mean Rockhoof? I love that one. It was so
Rockhoof?
Wow.
strong and winning Apple Bloom. We haven't heard it yet.
I don't give this episode a point. It's not afraid to be a little bit gross, like the red dots don't just go away.
Known far and wide for his incredible strength. But he didn't start out that
Doesn't
way.
go down.
You see, Rockhoof was a tiny little fella, the son of a farmer.
Just like us.
They lived in a village that sat at the foot of a gigantic volcano. And the village was protected by an elite
Vikings!
called the Mighty Helm. Young Rockhoof wanted
Whoa!
nothing more than to be
Actual
part of the Mighty
weapons.
so is this Troubleshooters Part 2?
Helm. But he was told that he was too strong
Oh, what's this
and
cutie
weak to
mark?
defend the village.
Two triangles. Not three or three triangles.
Pony!
Yeah, still gets to be a farmer.
Wouldn't take no for an answer. Then, one
That's so
fateful day,
gross.
the volcano
That's how outhouses are made. Okay, little touches like that are
molten lava
what got me to fall for this show. I like that.
And try as they might, the mighty helms couldn't figure out a way to save the village. They had to evacuate, but the village ponies didn't want to leave their homes. They spent their entire lives there. They had nowhere else to go.
Wow!
So
Well,
Rockhoof decided
Yeah,
to do something
we'll die by
right.
molten lava. You know, it's cool. You guys just take off.
Gotta save Pompeii!
Divert the flow of the lava. He might be able to save his
Hey-o,
village.
hey-o, wait,
He started
wait-o,
digging
wait-o.
a trench.
Wait a minute. All by himself? It'd be impossible for one pony to dig a trench fast enough to stop the lava.
Wouldn't it?
Rockhoof didn't believe in the worst Helm's
And
possible.
that face is going to be used.
He continued to work, knowing the odds were against him, but determined to push through. Then, something magical happened.
Oh god!
What?
Rockhoof got visibly stronger,
What?
but the lava was getting closer.
He's a witch.
Is he some sort of Thor Captain America type of thing now?
No, he just hit a can of spinach. Actually, didn't Maud say something about a stone that makes you, like, invincible or something?
Determination and sheer force
Saying,
of
like,
will,
to Starlight, oh, you should have asked for that.
his place in the mighty Helm.
Maybe some.
Yeah! Good story, Applejack. Even if it wasn't about me.
Okay, seriously, there's a point where you're just hamming it up.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that all the time whenever Rainbow mentions about herself.
There is no camp to go back to.
I mean, she is getting a little increasingly flanderized there.
Hmm.
Okay, random pick of a kid with sunglasses.
Thank you, Discovery Family, for those poor transitions.
There, sweetie Belle. Not to worry. How? Our camp was still pretty and this cave is
Dank.
so... not.
Ah,
Oh, no, not true. There's beauty in everything. Even these blah rocks aren't really blah. If you look closely, you can see flecks of gold in them. And the way firelight dances on the cave wall, shadow and light. Oh, it's so gorgeous.
oh, look, more Twilacorn ballerina.
Have I ever told you
Oh,
about
Rarity, I
my
didn't know you had it in ya.
No, I didn't know you had one. name was Mistmane. Mistmane? Isn't she the old wrinkly sorceress with the flower? Yes, but did you know she used to be the most beautiful unicorn in all the land? No. So what happened to her? Well, Mistmane was a very promising young sorceress.
I noticed a theme with these names.
She was beautiful and
Oh,
everybody
isn't
loved
that
her. And missed her when she
before
was
the
sent to
accident?
finest magic school.
Oh, Chinese influence here.
While she was gone, she was delighted to find out that her best friend, Sable Spirit, was crowned Empress. She couldn't wait to return home once she finished her studies. But once she arrived, she was devastated by what she saw.
Oh man, getting some Ruby Season 4 flashbacks.
The Empress happened. She makes every pony work day and night on her palace.
What could have happened to her?
That can't be. I know her. She would never do this. But there was no denying what was in front of her.
Suck it, kid.
Spirit took everything that was beautiful away from any pony else. And this man was sure there had to be some explanation.
I'd assume there was too. If some pony told me either one of you two'd gone evil, yeah, I'd never believe it. I don't know. I've seen the way you two get when you miss breakfast.
So did Miss Name. She went to confront her friend.
Sable, is that you? Don't tell me you don't recognize your old friend.
Just because I have a black mask completely covering my face.
To the bone for something as silly as a palace. Silly? My palace is a beacon of beauty. Any pony who passes will be in awe of its majesty. What good is a pretty palace if it just hides the misery of its ponies? Beauty is everything. You taught me that. What? You were always the pretty one. You got to go to the best magic school. Every pony missed you. Every pony loved you. I admit I was jealous. So I tried to perform a
You're
spell
so
that would
perfect, and I hate you for being so much better than me. Well,
I vowed if I couldn't have beauty, I would take it. I wasn't chosen to be Empress, you know. I took it.
Oh,
Just like I'm going to take everything else. I can't let you do that. Let me.
Oh.
it's really on.
Yes. Dragon!
Whole new style that they're getting everything out of here.
Yeah, and I actually like this conflict more than Starlight's entire shebang.
Ponage.
Every pony thought Sable Spirit was defeated, and that was that. But Miss May knew there was more she could do to help. Beauty isn't everything, but Miss May knew that it does have the power to make ponies smile. She made a huge sacrifice to bring that smile back to her friends and family's faces.
I removed my vitality.
Sable Spirits.
She did that just so they could get an Instagrow effect.
You did this for me, even after I was so cruel?
Sable Spirit was so touched that she vowed to be more like her friend in the ways that mattered. From then on, she ruled with kindness and compassion. Even though she gave away her physical beauty, she dedicated her life to spreading beauty all over Equestria. Anytime you go out of your way to brighten something,
That actually
This is
does.
Equestria?
like giving them flowers, you're
Wait,
following
what?
the footsteps
How
of
far does
Miss May.
Equestria spread? But yeah, that very much has the air
I
of
think
a
she's my favorite legend too.
fairy tale
Oh
myth
god.
sort of thing that would come from that part of the world.
Fighters won't quit. Where are they both of us now?
Well, like it or not, we're food too.
The fight's improving. What are we gonna do?
Wow.
You can't do the tornado, but you can do that.
We trapped ourselves.
Now those bugs can't get in.
But
And we can't get out.
I think it's a little claustrophobia now.
yeah, I feel like they're like before. It took a lot of build up that she wasn't able to handle in a healthy manner because of reasons only partly in her control. Like this time, she's just kind of scared of everything.
Yeah, the thing starting a fire in a suffocated area is not a good idea.
Why can't we have Fluttershy?
You're focusing on the wrong
Oh, how
thing.
far back does this cave go?
Close. I have a story. Let me guess. It's about you? Practically. It's about my favorite legend, Flash Magnus.
Wasn't he the pony who took on the dragons? Dragons? Scary needles are like Spike.
Oh, come on, now she's scared of everything.
Oh my god, she's now become mini Fluttershy.
But not too scary. You can sit closer to me if you want. A long time ago, before the Wonderbolts were even
Well, at least she's
founded,
handling it today healthier.
Magnus was
Well, she's
the only cadet in the
able to
Royal
ask for help now.
Okay, hello there, Romans.
And the Legion.
Oh, it is that is a Pegasi theme.
Into their comrades
It's
Yeah.
more
on the other
Roman
side.
than Greek.
As they
Yeah.
got closer to the dragons. The dragons attack! What? I said, if you just hang in there, I promise you'll like the ending. So, like I was saying, Flash Magnus and the Royal Legion tried to get past the dragons. But the dragons...
Alright, we got a torch.
Flash Magnus and a few other cadets were separated from the battalion.
Oh!
He managed to get away, but the dragons captured his friends and took them back to their lair.
Is that Lord Torch?
Yeah!
Commander, we need to save our captured comrades. I appreciate your loyalty, Flash Magnus, but getting past those dragons is going to be impossible. Nothing will work.
And why did we move closer to those fields?
You can't outfight dragons.
But you can outthink them.
Oh,
Dun,
okay.
dun, dun.
Commander Ironhead, I'm pretty sure I can outfly the dragons. If I can lure them into chasing me, you can all sneak into the lair and retrieve our friends before they get back. Are you really willing to take that chance, soldier? I am, sir.
What's
It's
he
a
get?
very brave thing you're doing. You'll need all the help you can get. Is this the Titus? The fireproof shield?
Well,
It's protected Legion heroes for generations, and today, I get it.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Good luck, soldier. Hey! Come and get me, fire breath! If you can!
They knew they had a good image when they saw it.
Flash Magnus bravely flew for his life. Commander Ironhead was
He
able to
bravely
get
flew for his life. When danger reared its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled.
fire surfing!
Fire
Yeah,
surfing
this is
on it, that's
awesome.
pretty badass.
Yeah!
But he knew he couldn't do this forever. Luckily, he had a plan.
Time to use the element of lightning against the fire breathers.
He led the dragon straight into a storm that the Legion had planted.
Okay, now that's awesome.
One taste of the lightning,
Well,
and
going
the
by
dragon
Dark
turned
Souls
free.
rules, dragons are weak against lightning.
Oh.
Well, in Pokemon, they're strong against lightning.
Flash Magnus's plan worked.
Pretty much strong against anything that's not fairies.
Why couldn't he have died in the storm like a hero?
Well, then he wouldn't have had a chance to go from a lowly cadet to a legend.
Well, because he has to pass on the Flash name until someone insignificant.
Let's see where it gets. That's like if Paul Bunyan had grown big and that was all he did before he died.
Hey, Do you hear that?
I don't hear anything.
Exactly. Those gosh darn flighters are gone. We can get out.
Dang it.
Or not.
We're gonna have to see if we can get out the other way.
There is
Go
another way.
further into the dark, spooky cave. Scootaloo, just remember the story. Gotta be brave like me and Flash Magnus, okay?
I hear water.
And if there's flowing water, then...
It might lead to the way out.
Oh. Okay, on 3. 1, 2, 3!
Well, what do you know? We found ourselves a shortcut to Winsome Falls.
Oh, really?
Never looked so beautiful. Well, almost.
We sure are sorry that our camping trip wasn't what we hoped it would be.
Are you kidding? This trip is awesome! It is? We got to hear legendary stories and go on an adventure.
Wait, you three want to stay?
Of course we do!
Well, it's either here or go back to where the
Turn
fighters
those
are,
trees
so...
into a nice little shelter. We can get you some big lumber.
Oh, they
branches to help
disappeared.
build it. I bet
So now I'm
we
just
can
waiting for
find
the
some
part where, oh my gosh, they came here!
Can't wait to see what happens next year.
A new horror pony story would be told then.
That was actually, I think, pretty good CMC episode.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good command of what it wanted to be, and pretty good grasp on what it wanted to be, and occasional moments of flanderization aside, I thought it made everybody.
Yeah, I think that's the only issue I have really with the episode is that I don't mind Scootaloo being shown to be less like brave and maybe more scaredish, but like it felt like it was just a snap and she was like mini Fluttershy instead of mini Rainbow Dash.
But then again, the fact that she's being a bit more upfront with this definitely shows progress from before, in which like Sleepless in Ponyville, she was basically like, "Oh, I'm trying to play it cool about like my nervousness and such," but now it's like it seems like she's more open about showing like her fears because clearly not showing them the last time kind of led to a near disaster.
Yeah, they didn't establish this time why that still needs to be an ongoing problem if she could do that. Like it was implied before that, she was bottling them up and trying to, kind of like not treating the wound, as it were. And then it built up. Like now she's just afraid of everything.
It's still at least progress. I mean, I definitely don't want to go to like that whole Fluttershy argument.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, just baby steps.
Right. Well, it's like she solved her old problem, but she also seems to have picked up a new one because it made the writing easier on the writers in this episode. I mean, but that aside, like, actually, for the most part, I kind of thought everybody was like both fun and relatable here.
Yeah.
A lot of really cute moments with it. Yeah, Apple Bloom screaming for the right when the guy in the story is supposed to be, and just very sitting there. Let me see. All right, trying to remember the Rarity Sweetie Belle moments I really like. Actually, Rarity like finding ways to cheer up her sister. I mean, it's kind of weird as Rainbow Dash gets more like flanderized. Rarity almost becomes more golden to me. And they were like at complete opposite ends of my of the spectrum as far as my favorites go. Starting out,
it could be like different moments of like writing might happen to like some of your least favorite or favorite characters of the main six.
Yeah. Maybe it's kind of like the first thing that comes to mind is how Doug Walker didn't like the cabbage guy joke so much starting out, but he loved the foaming at the mouth guy joke. But when they tried it again, he was like, "No, sorry, that was just a one-time wonder. I mean, you can't follow that up." And then Cabbage Guy finally started to make him laugh when they just like took it to the most over the top proportions. It's kind of like, yeah, Rainbow Dash. I felt like they captured lightning in a bottle with her starting out, but I mean, yeah, I kind of feel like, the odds of a whole new production team, which we're basically on at this point, having that same flash of inspiration are kind of slim. But I mean, Rarity, even though they they lean pretty heavy on the whole like vain fashion obsessor, like in her very, very first episodes. I mean, the fact that they tried to make it okay, that's not just what she is. I felt like created a slew of possibilities that they have been chewing on over the past few seasons, over all the seasons, really.
I just like the way I feel about like a Rainbow Dash and Rarity. It's like for Rainbow's character, it's like her vices, like / like the thing you idolize, weren't so far apart. Meanwhile, for Rarity, they were quite far apart. Like seemed like on different ends of the spectrum, which is what makes Rarity such a complex and interesting character. And the fact that this episode seems to be the one that actually brings back the interesting parts of Rarity to me, than like what they tried to do with like Forever Philly. Like I'm just like, okay, you didn't completely abandon the things that make Rarity interesting. Thank you. I was worried for a second that she would become the next Twilight. Don't want anyone to go full Twilight.
But yeah, like here, when even though she can get really annoyed with this stuff herself, like when it comes to helping someone else through it, suddenly she can see the good in a bad situation, which is actually something you run into in real life a lot, and I think it was a pretty nice touch here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and how should I put this? I didn't feel annoyed with Apple Bloom this episode. Yeah, definitely a major plus.
Cute here.
And Applejack was certainly what we needed in this episode. Just the average experienced camper.
I mean, I guess she didn't have any particular time to shine, but I mean, to be fair, there's only so much runtime to go around.
Yeah, even though there was moments in which I felt like, maybe I actually could decide my favorite CMC from this episode now, because I've always been like kind of like vague between like Sweetie Belle or Scootaloo.
Yes, I mean, like Sweetie Belle probably has my like single favorite outing as far as at least the outing where she put in the best showing. But I mean, overall, I think Scootaloo's had like been good in more episodes. Scootaloo's a little more consistent to me.
I guess for me, like I was really more for like supporting Scootaloo, and I don't know why, because like the Sleepless in Ponyville, I didn't feel any of that for like Scootaloo and like the struggles she was going through. But this episode, I was like, "Aw."
I don't know how that you could not feel that. Like it almost took took the tension up to so much where it was like almost awkward, just like Scootaloo, the extent she was going through, the length she was going through not to reveal herself. It was she came across as awkward, and I felt like that's exactly what you're supposed to feel there. Just like the angst of keeping a lid on that.
I'm just now thinking like that's just maybe like a change in like my perspective from like all the way back when I was actively watching the show, like in season 3 when I really got into the fandom for like my first full season, which was during season 3. I was kind of like entertained at some moments, but then for like other episodes, I felt like Sleepless in Ponyville was kind of like it felt like the perfect pair for me, which I saw the great quality of the episode it was, just wasn't enthusiastic about it, and it's just like, dang, again. But now it's like, with this episode, it's like, yeah, season 6 and 7, I'm sorry to feel like I've gone completely more supportive of the introverted ponies. And it's like, gosh, dang. I was definitely not a Fluttershy fan I was watching through season 2. Just, dang it. I could have realized there was a sudden change in me.
Yeah, it could just be like trying to move on to finding the meat in different subjects, because they don't really they aren't really feeling the old ones anymore. Which again, mostly new production team, at least multiple changeovers, it kind of makes sense.
Especially since like this episode was written by 2 new writers for the first time.
Yeah. Although, like, what I might say, yeah, this episode still isn't like, an A grade great one is, I just don't know if the stories, both the stories within the story and the actual ones were just quite good enough. Like, I like the starting out like a guy wants to be strong and then he tries to go on a mission and finds a magic thing and then he is like, that's pretty like fairly basic stuff. And I mean, there's not really anything wrong with it. So for a lot of this, I was wondering like, okay, well, I mean, is that really not fair? But ironically, this episode almost made the case against itself because I feel like Rarity's story kind of stepped up to the point where it was great. Like there was in its own way, a lot of variety to it for such a short run time. It was really creative. I'm like, okay, that's what great looks like. Now I'm starting to feel it. So yeah, I almost, can't feel too bad for, thinking the rest of the episode isn't at that level. Like there is, there's a difference between not really doing anything wrong and doing something great.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you get like that middling feel of like, you didn't do anything offensive. You were just meh. And sometimes that might not be okay. This time, I could sort of get it because it was coming from Applejack. Like it's a simple like a folklore. It's a simple.
Well, not even meh. It just like wasn't that great. But I mean, it had like a kind of fun new setting. It had a little visual aesthetic and all that. And I mean, like.
I think it was. I think like the entire time I was looking at Applejack's story, I was like, I think it was referencing like that new show called Vikings. All the time I was seeing like their helmets, while also at the same time I was like, it was either Vikings or completely Thor.
Sure. Between that and Rainbow Dash's story, it almost brought How to Train Your Dragon in mind to me.
Oh yes,
yeah, that's what I was thinking at first too, because of
Hiccup's Village. Hiccup's Village at the beginning. But then
scrawny Hiccup.
But then, like at the end, like the last story, it's like, ooh, let's go on some cloud surfing or like fire surfing this time. Like I'm shielding myself against the fire, just like those movies. It's like, wow.
I mean, that one didn't quite have the heart of Rarity's stories, but you can't accuse it of lacking the visuals.
Oh no, absolutely not. Just. That was completely awesome. Pardon my vernacular here.
It was 20% cooler and all sorts of other outdated phrases.
Just overall, I just felt like Rarity's story was like, I definitely know like they took like the same beats for like the beginning of Starlight storyline, but then we're like, oh my god, I would actually wish to like. Why? Like, I actually would want to an entire episode based on this folklore. Like, that's how good it was. And also, like, the reason why I said Ruby Season 4 was because it was reminding me of Ren's Village completely. If anyone was watching Ruby at the time. At that point. This Chinese-inspired town. Or maybe if you would remember, like, that Sesame Cat show when you were young watching PBS kids shows. It could also remind you of that.
Bells off the top of my head.
But I guess aside from that, looking into like the new lore building for this episode, aside from like the folklores, flighters.
Oh.
We found something worse than parasprites, even affected by magic.
Oh. Yeah, that was a nice touch. That is, very relatable to the kind of problems you can run into camping.
Yet at the same time, 100 times worse, 1,000 times worse.
Depends on how bad the mosquitoes are, but still worse than anything I can remember running into.
Imagine if you were an arachnophobic about it as well.
Spiders already aren't my favorite, so I mean, I was like cringing pretty good at that part. Like, granted, like flying spiders, that's a little bit silly. You can only cringe so much at that. But just like, yeah, the bug bites and the swarming. I mean, they know how to make you. The show knows how to make you uncomfortable about bugs. That I will give it that. Like even the parasprites with just how they won't stay off you. I felt like it tapped into something there, and now
you're getting too much into my comfort zone.
So, yeah.
Yeah, just
props there. Still don't see why Rainbow Dash can't do her tornado thing, but that's kind of the fan in me talking. What about the really cool tornado thing that almost got rid of the parasprites?
And that's like, maybe it's like the new staff of writers forgot about that one part. I mean, then again, it's like been over 6 years at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, for the most part, this season is doing a pretty decent job at like making use of what's already on the table and making it feel like we have payoff here, like there's like a reason to stay invested and not just think this show is going to turn into the gumball machine and like one color's as good as the next.
Gumball machine.
So like, is every episode going to get a part 2 or something?
Well, that'd be interesting if it did. I mean, how many of the episodes so far have not been part 2s? I can't really say Perfect Pair was, even though like follows up something that's been happening, like building for a while.
Let's see.
All Bottled Up isn't really. Well, I mean, okay. Do you mean like specifically calling back to the turn of events in an episode, or
I mean, like how we saw in this episode?
Okay, so like All Bottled Up wouldn't count then, just because it's Starlight and Trixie. Like they would have had to have done something they did before.
Probably, yeah.
I think
if you can like significantly tell it's supposed to be like a cop off of another episode, like
So the Yak episode would count, but Maud and Starlight would not.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then again, you could consider that Maud and Starlight episode to be the sequel to the Maud Pie episode, if we really think about it.
Well, I mean, it's just like the next step in both of their characters. I don't, necessarily think it's a callback to anything.
Let's see. Forever Philly is very much easily a callback. No, wait a minute.
Kinda, sorta.
I mean, like, then again, there is Better Who's Social, but yeah, Forever Philly was more of a Rarity and Sweetie Belle callback.
We'll call that one a 50-50, I guess.
Okay, let's see. Parental Guidance wouldn't necessarily be a callback.
Yeah, well, no, I can't say we've seen Rainbow's parents before, or any parents like that in this show. Can't say Not Asking for Trouble was a follow-up either, or Honest Apple for that matter, even though it brought back photo finish. And
hoity-toity.
Yeah. Brought them back, but I mean, they've been brought back, or at least photo finish has. Brought back in other stuff.
Royal Problem isn't a callback.
Well, no, Royal Problem is Jurassic Park 3. Like, we're not quite doing the same stuff, but we're gonna try to one-up it with a sort of like.
We're
gonna take your Tyrannosaurus Rex and give you a Spinosaurus.
I'm sorry. I don't think that criticism justifies it. I guess the fire fan in me is like, the Hatebreaker over Nightmare Moon any day. Even though it might
like the Spinosaurus over the T-Rex.
Wait, did some people find the Spinosaurus to be that interesting?
No, but the movie had it kill the T-Rex, so I guess you've gotta.
Okay, I see where you're going with
that. All right, but we're going off track, on schedule off track. But let's get everyone's closing thoughts in this episode.
Can't wait for Sleepless in Ponyville Part 3.
What's on with you there? It's going good so far.
It's certainly quite an enjoyable slice of life episode for a sequel, and like I certainly felt more entertained here than some of the recent episodes.
Yeah. For the most part, even the weaker Scootaloo Rainbow Dash follow-ups are pretty strong. Like what, Brother Who's Social, kind of sort of, that was good. Flight to the Finish was good. This was good.
What about Parental Guidance?
Parental Guidance was 1/3 really, really good. I don't know. I mean, that's not really Rainbow and Scootaloo so much as like they're the excuse to bring in these parents.
These parents.
Yeah.
I love the world building from this episode, though.
really appreciate like some of the new legends, including the fact that 2/3 of them had male starring roles.
Like this is the kind of world building that like you really feel. It feels like it actually matters. It's building on what we've already seen. It's not just, hey, here's this place you've never seen before. That's kind of cool, right?
I also kind of feel like it takes some cues from Perfect Pair actually for the framing of these three stories, and I'm just like, if this is going to be a running theme this season for like one more episode, I'm going to be mighty pleased about it.
I mean, but yeah, like as montage stories go, let's see, they've tried that a few different. Well, I don't know if Slice of Life counts as that. I do kind of prefer this to Slice of Life, but I think the champion in the story montage is still Crusaders of the Lost Mark, with the flashbacks to all the main sixes, backstories.
No.
That's
Cutie Mark Chronicle.
Yeah, Cutie Mark Chronicle. You know what? These Cutie Mark episode titles all blur together for me.
You're talking about the episode in which the CMC finally got their marks.
Yeah. That was that. Okay. But yeah, Cutie Mark Chronicles, I think, is still the champion in the, what's the word for this slipping my mind? When you have multiple stories in one framework.
22 short stories in an episode? Yeah, The Simpsons?
Yeah, stuff like that. There's a word for that. Not montage.
A Day in the Life.
No.
Say it.
Nobody knows this one. I'm just like
No.
blanking on vocabulary, but anthology. That's what. Okay.
Anthology, of course. The one thing that constantly brings bronies together.
Cutie Mark Chronicles is still the champion in the anthology episode department. So okay, I feel better now. But yeah, this is good. I'd give it like a soft B+.
I give it I definitely give it like a high good rating. It definitely doesn't reach great. It definitely doesn't reach great for like how simple it is, but yet I could say like it's an episode that's certainly worth coming back to. Has good rewatchability. Rewatch value.
Yeah. In fact, I think that's already enough to put it in my top 5 this season.
Oh, I could definitely see that. I certainly find like a lot of enjoyment from it than a lot of episodes. Like which most of season 7 I felt before was like from first reaction was middling for certain. This doesn't have like this isn't like the high energy enjoyment, but that I was like going off of from some episodes, but it's like the good quality episode in which certainly feels unique in taste, certainly feels like quite good in execution.
Really gunning to have fun with it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And overall, I certainly hope for some of the more creative fans of season of the Brony fandom that are still there. It's like, guys, that Rarity story, you guys can expand more upon it and that lore. Just go for it. Okay, it's not good. It's like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was implied that Rainbow knew her as something. She knew her, but yeah, apparently the old version has more legends than the young version does. Like that was like kind of like when Rainbow's character became a big shot. Like the implication kind of seemed to be that Rarity's character, that was only when her legend began.
Okay. That's something interesting to take from it. So Rainbow's is more of like a hard and true legend, but Rarity's is more of like someone who's still on an active mission, despite like how old that story is. You never see a concrete ending, but it still like advocates for like a continued support for like other people.
Well, heck, I thought the implication was that there was like, there were more stories in the legend. Like that was only one of them, and not even the one that most ponies think about.
Ooh.
But that aside, I feel like I'm about due to pass the mic here.
Someone else have any other thoughts?
No, not really.
Yeah. Just sort of like I said earlier, like I felt this is a good. I felt this is a charming episode. It actually reminded me a lot of season 1 in terms of tone. Was more like a. It felt more like a younger aimed at kids, but not a kids show episode. If that makes sense.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Going
Like
above
it's
and
a family
beyond with
like I'll cover this. This isn't like one of the bad CMC episodes that feels like it was aimed straight at kids. Like this is a kids episode. This felt like a family episode that's more on the kids side, sort of like how all of season 1 was.
Small in scale, big in craft.
Yeah, I guess is a good way.
Really?
But like it was just a nice, charming episode that like got more of the CNC interacting with their big sister figures or literal big sisters, and some interesting lore building. And some nightmare fuel thrown in.
Nightmare fuel? Oh yeah, nightmare fuel.
Yep.
For those of you who hate bugs.
Yeah.
Hey, I had to deal with bugs like for 9.5 weeks. Actually, 10 weeks.
Also, if you want old pony winkly faces again, there's your nightmare fuel again. Though in the case of like Miss Main, she
I'm
aged
sorry, you
gracefully.
can't not respect her, yeah.
Also, curved horns.
Oh yeah, that's right. The curved horns. I'm just wondering though, is there going to be any sort of legend or any sort of like new pony species that might be influenced by the bicorn species from Legends? Because that could be interesting.
Write a fan fiction.
Write a fan fiction. That's the best response.
That's the solution.
I had to do the same for elves.
Well, I guess that's all. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.